We've already written some thesis statements this year, but now we're going to look at them through the eyes of IXL, which actually is going to be more consistent with what you're going to see in high school and in college and how the terminology is going to be used. I didn't want to confuse you by doing anything like this before the state testing because of how we differentiate between argumentative prompts and informative prompts. Now we're going to see that there's a little bit of overlap in the language. So as we look at IXL, we're going to look at this example this lesson right here, which is 01. I'll make this a little bit bigger just so it's easier to see. And I'm going to point to this key idea down here. I do not like the example that they've used about bullying and about I like their example of a bad thesis statement. I don't like their example of a good thesis statement. So let's talk about that in a minute. But the two things that we're talking about, the two terms that could be confusing are claim and argue. So it says here, your thesis statement is the central claim that you intend to argue in a paper. This is very consistent with the terminology that will be used in high school and college. Even in an informative piece like the one that we're doing right now, we're still going to use the word claim and we're still going to use the word argue. Because when you are writing, especially academic writing, you want to persuade somebody that your opinion is correct. And so we are going to be authoritative. We're going to argue. That doesn't mean that we are going to need to do argumentative writing. The main difference with argumentative writing and an argumentative prompt is that it requires a counterclaim or the addressing of counterclaims in that one paragraph. And we don't need to do that here. This can be informative writing. And in informative writing, we can still argue. We can still make and support a claim. But you can see how that could get confusing on the state test. So this is a better time to deal with this now. So it says, a thesis statement is often the answer to a research question supported with facts. So you created your research question, maybe you've modified it a little bit, and now hopefully you are ready to answer that question. And so that answer to your question is going to be part of your thesis statement. The other element of the thesis statement, though, it's not only going to be your opinion, but it's also going to be a statement that has three prongs, and those three prongs are going to point to the three main points that you're making in the body of your presentation. So I want to give you, well, first of all, let's look at this bad example for bullying. This paper will discuss how schools in the U.S. should respond to bullying. That's not expressing an opinion. That's telling what the paper is going to be about. And that's an inappropriate way to approach it. What they do up here is they say in the thesis statement, to better protect students, schools in the U.S. should enact a zero tolerance policy toward bullying. And that does express the opinion. That does meet that requirement, but it doesn't have the three prongs. So as an example, I actually like the ones up here a little bit better. So in our example here, we have two choices, and we're supposed to choose which is a thesis statement. What impact does buying goods and services from local businesses instead of large chain stores have on the community? Or buying goods from a local business or from local businesses is a great way to invest in the economy, find unique products, and build community relationships. You will see that only one of these actually expresses an opinion. This one, buying goods, is a great way to do the rest, and that is an opinion. Up here, it's not expressing an opinion. In fact, it's asking the reader for their opinion, which is counterproductive. We definitely don't want to have a question as our thesis. As we go down here, though, buying goods from a local business is a great way, and it expresses the rest. There's our opinion. But the more important thing, or at least equally important thing here, is we have our three prongs. I know when it says invest in the economy, find unique products, and build community relationships, that this author is going to then present me in order with a paragraph about how it's a great way to invest in the economy. And then the next body paragraph is going to be about finding unique products. And then the next body paragraph is going to be about building community relationships. They have pointed to their three main points in their thesis statement. And that's why we call this a three-pronged thesis. So we're going to use this as one of our examples. And we're going to give you some models of some thesis statements so that you can insert your information and maybe borrow some different types of sentence structure so that you can build an effective three-pronged thesis.